Welcome to Design Your Life podcast. We are your hosts, Amy
and Jackie.
And we are here just to talk.
Yeah, that's what we do best.
We are so honored that you guys are here, our friends, especially those that we don't know and those that we have known for a very long time. We are so honored that you're here, and we're so blessed that you're here. We thank you for taking the time out today to just kind of sit and talk with us for just a few minutes. So yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do want to say is that this is the first time that Jackie and I are doing a podcast ever. So you guys are blessed to see all of this. And our motto right now is that we're going to fail forward fast because we have no idea what we're doing. So we're asking for a little bit of grace, but then we're also asking for some glows and grows afterwards. So if you wouldn't mind telling us what you liked and what you didn't like, well, our hearts are open.
Yes. So, and our skin is thick.
Right? You have to
be kind.
You have to have that thick skin if you have teenagers in the house. You're like,
exactly. Well, Amy, I'm so thrilled to be here with you because this is like a dream come true to do a podcast with you because we just have so much fun when we talk together. So hopefully everybody who listens to us will have as much fun as we do. Yes. But first, I would love for you to like kind of tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I am I'm Amy, Latino, and I'm a mom to an incredible husband and a mom to an incredible husband. Did you just hear what I said? Oh my gosh. Okay.
You know, we don't know how to edit, so it stays.
Yeah, we don't know how to edit, so this is what you get, people. I am a wife to an incredible husband and a mom to 6 children this side of heaven. I'm a homeschooling mom of 17 years and counting. And I received my certificate with the Wholeness School back in 2019. And I'm currently in the process of getting my other certificate, actually in 2 more months. I'm really excited, with the Institute for the Psychology of Eating. And what started me on this journey was I experienced a devastating miscarriage back in 2018. And then right on the heels of that was the passing of my second sister, or sister number 2, I should say. Well, okay. So she's the only one who's passed, but she's the second oldest of the family. And we had a very special bond in early 2019. That's when she passed away. And in that particular moment that I was in a really dark place. And I noticed that what was coming across my Facebook feed was something from Amy Carney. So Amy Carney, if you're listening, shout out to you, about the women's school. And I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. A women's school? That's okay. Let me see what this is about. So I reached out to her, and she gave me some tidbits or snippets of the masterclass of the women's school. And I was like, huh, well, that's interesting. And then I got the wholeness quiz, and that's when it really hit me that, wow, I didn't realize how depleted I was, which, by the way, ladies, we have put the masterclass, not the masterclass, the quiz, the wholeness quiz in the description on our podcast. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, you can go ahead and do that. And we actually really encourage you to, because it's a really good eye opener as to where you are, a litmus of where you are in your life.
And you can send us your results if you want us to kind of look at it and maybe like discuss it with you or something, because it's, once you do it, you also are like, what do I do now? So that's where we come in.
Yeah, so go ahead and send those results. Take like a snapshot of it, and either send it to Jackie or I, and we'll go ahead and look at it and go over it with you. So I took that wholeness quiz, and it was through the master class that I realized that I wasn't giving myself that permission to grieve. And that word permission was so paramount to me because it was something that I'd never heard before in any of my schooling or as I was growing up. I was never allowed to have that, negative emotions.
Yeah.
And not that grieving is a negative thing, because it is a very healing thing and it's here to teach us something. So, it was through that word permission, like I have permission to grieve. Wait a minute.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, and then from there, there was a lot of growth through that 7 months when I went with Amy. Um, we had homework to do, we had things to do. So it was really um, a really beautiful time to see and grow with the women's school. Um, so after taking the course, it was like hook, line, and sinker for me. I was like, dang it, I want all the women in the world to see this and to know that they are valued. Um, and so I became a coach as well. It was also during this time that we had fleshed out the dream of our own family of moving abroad, and we did. And we moved in January of 2021, which was the height of COVID. And there was a lot of little things that happened in between that time that I'm not going to bore you with. But during that time of extreme transition, I found myself gaining all of the weight that I had put on previously. Um, and the last thing I wanted to do was go on another diet. I was so sick of diets. Being on diet since the age of 8, just as something had snapped in me, I want to say about a good year and a half ago. I was still looking for diets. I'm doing this code red diet and I'm doing this diet. I'm finding this person. And I was like, stop it. Something inside me kept saying, stop it. You know.
Mhm.
So in my research, I came across the Institute for the Psychology of Eating, and boom, it was like
Mm.
a light went on. It was a beautiful extension to what January was talking about, the master class of the women's school. Um, I've already lost weight, which is great, but
Yay.
what's most important is that I've learned how to gain a new way of eating, and diets don't work, and how our digestion works, and the tools in my pocket not only help me but others as I marry both of the schools of thought of both the women's school and the institution for the psychology of eating. So that's me in a nutshell. How about
That's
you?
incredible.
Go ahead
Yes.
and
Well, I love
introduce
what you were
yourself.
saying. So I'm fascinated by everything that you just said because a lot of it resonates so well with me. But I'm Jackie Cobb, and I am a wife to a wonderful husband. And I love what you said. So I'm just going to use it too. I have 2 children on this side of heaven, 5 children total. Um, and I'm a homeschool mom, still of 1 child. I did graduate 1 last year. Yay. That was like stressing me out all those years thinking about like, oh, how do you actually graduate a child? And it's doable. Imagine that. So I am working towards my certification with the women's school. And I was introduced by yours, not yours truly, but that this truly Amy Latino. And it's funny because I saw you posting and talking about the women's school and all of those things. And I thought, oh, that looks kind of cool. I've done therapy. I've had trauma. It's crazy, like sometimes I think, how did I get here? And other times I'm like, wow, I'm so strong, not to toot my own horn, but just how did I survive? How did I get here? Kind of thing. But you have therapy and you have all of those things. But what made this different was just the fact that it wasn't so much like you needed to go talk to somebody, but you needed to learn skills. And it resonated with me so much when January said we aren't taught these skills. And I remember thinking, yes, like I thought if I just loved my children, they would end up perfect and never have any struggles. And, they would come to me for everything. And yeah, life doesn't work that way, does it?
Oh, no, it doesn't.
So then I started to struggle. And when we lost our girl, Michaela, Jamie and I started to struggle. We weren't, I was in a dark place for probably a good year or two. And, it was like, I was just surviving. And my kids, thank God for them because they kept me going, but I was barely surviving. I was doing the bare minimum and everything else. So I got kind of stuck in this rut. And then, we weren't communicating. Like, I thought, okay, yeah, my marriage could use some work, maybe this would be good for that. But then I thought, well, that's a lot of money. What do I do? And, but then like at some point, and I'm sure that it was you that said something profound to me, because I'm amazed at how many profound things you've said to me over the years. But it just clicked that I was worth the investment because I'm the center of my family. And if I don't have it together, how are they going to have it together?
Right.
So once I started doing the masterclass with you, and I just thought, oh, I don't need that much help. I'm okay, but I'll do it because it's my friend and I'm intrigued by this. And then all of a sudden, changes happened and things were getting better in my household. And it was just like a light bulb went off that, oh, there is something to this. And I got to admit, I was kind of barely doing my homework in the beginning. You probably slapped me on the wrist a few times, but it was just like, I didn't even put all of my effort and energy into it. And I still saw changes. So then I started thinking, well, imagine if I actually put my time, effort, and energy into this. So during those weeks, I grew as a person and I was able to just take this to a new level. And it kind of crossed my mind at the time, but we were moving, we were building a new house. And, I just thought, okay, no, this isn't the right time for this, but it kept coming back and coming back. And then this past year, it was really in my face, hey, do this. Hey, do this. And I thought, I could really use this class again, but what if I could help bring this to other women too? I mean, we all need something, right? So that's how I got involved in this. And then when Amy and I started talking, because of course I'm going to go to my friend Amy and go, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think?
Guess what I just did?
It's such a blessing. Now I get to work with my friend and we get to talk more. And that's why we ended up in a podcast.
Here we are. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Didn't see this one coming at all.
No. And well, can we tell the story of how this could happen? Does anybody want to know? Because truly, it's actually kind of funny that we were talking about how can we work together? We're kind of doing the same thing. We have a lot of the same friends. We also know a lot of other people. But then it's I just said, oh, Amy, I don't even remember what I said. Hey, let's work together. Let's do something together. And I remember Amy going, how about a podcast? And I'm thinking in my head, no. And then out of my mouth comes, yes, let's do it. And I went, this is what the women's school did to me. It makes me grow and stretch and get outside my comfort zone. And I am literally going for the uncomfortable in all of this. So here we are.
And I have to say that has been such a good sport about this through the whole thing, because as you know, we're living in Sicily, so we have a 6-hour difference, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm creating the art that the cover photo of our Design Your Life, and I give it to her at 2:00 in the morning, and I'm like, do you think this will be good? And then I'm like, well, she's not going to see it now. I'm just going to post it. Can't back out on me.
And it's 7:30 the next morning. I remember, oh yeah, sure, sounds great. And then I go on Facebook and I see, oh, she's posted it. It's on.
It's on.
We're doing it.
We're doing it.
And she tagged me.
See, I was nice. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And this is what good friends do.
Yeah. We help each other grow. We help each other expand, and this is what we do. This is how we do it. It brings so much joy to us, and you know what? I know it brings joy to Christ because He's seeing us bring His work to
Yes.
women who need to know their value, and we're gonna start with that. So part of Design Your Life podcast here is we're working from the ground up, and that ground is your value.
Yes.
That you are valuable.
Okay, so tell me this though, Amy, before we start talking about our self-worth. We talked a lot about this, and one of the things that was most important to us is what is it that our friends would want us to talk about or say or do? Like, what is this going to look like? Because obviously, this is for our friends, but it's also for our new friends we're going to make that we don't know yet, and we're looking forward to that. So you tell me, what is it that our friends want? What are they going to get from us on here? What is it that we are going to bring to the table for them?
The value and the content of this is going to be clarifying what the masterclass is. We say, hey, come join the Art of Being Woman masterclass. Let's join the women's school. What is that? That's the first question that it was like, well, what do you mean? I don't need a women's school. I've gotten that too. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, most of us are doing fine, right?
Yes, and you know what? Praise be to God. Praise be to God.
Absolutely.
You had a really great upbringing, and you feel that you don't need to grow. Okay, we'll leave it at that.
We'll talk about that later, but yeah, go with that.
That's a whole other conversation for another day.
A whole other conversation.
But those of us who are like, well, what is a master class? And I'm sure that some of you have seen what a master class is on probably Facebook or Instagram. YouTube, I know, promotes master classes that you see, and that's exactly what they are. They're classes given to people for whatever they're looking for. So whether it be knowing how to write a book or learning how to play the piano, or just a lot of information taught by experts, basically is what it is. And that's what this masterclass is. It's January Donovan is the one who created the Women's School, and she is your host while we take you as strategists or coaches along for the ride. We take you through this step by step, and it's not just and this is the difference between this masterclass and a masterclass that you get off of Facebook or YouTube or anything like that.
Is that difference.
Is that you have a coach, you have a one-on-one session with a coach, or you're in a group with another, maybe 5 or more women. You're creating a community, you're creating a relationship, and what's the best way that we could define who we are in light of who Christ is that we are in communion with each other, just as the Heavenly Father is in communion with the Son and the Holy Spirit. We reflect that Trinitarian relationship when it comes to helping other women through this course. And that's the difference between the master class for the women's school and a master class that you're taking online. It's just push play, do whatever you're doing. Ours is push play, let's have a meeting. Hey, where's that homework? It's accountability that we have in the women's school.
Yep. And that's the difference, because you could just check out a book from the library and self-help. You could look at some different master classes, like you said. There's all kinds of different ways that you could do that, but ultimately it's the accountability, and it's the and sometimes it's the grows and glows. It's the being able to celebrate with somebody who understands the journey you're on, because not everybody's on that journey yet. And so being able to say, hey, I'm seeing changes already, like in 2 weeks in, that type of thing. And and having someone who can help you discern. Sometimes you don't understand the homework, or you don't understand quite what you're trying to say, and to have someone who can hear you and help you kind of formulate it is really good too. So So my question is, one of the big things, because let's just put it out there, like it can be kind of pricey for,
Mhm,
for some people's budgets. So
mhm.
what would you say to me if back when I was concerned about that myself, and like, am I worth investing in?
Am I worth investing in? Yeah. No.
There you have it.
Question.
It's so simple. Why would you doubt that it was that simple, right? But why?
Um,
Like, why am I worth investing in? That's one of the things that I think that we really we're blessed when we think about that, because it's investing, not like spending money. It's not, whatever else you want to call it. It's an investment in
yeah.
us.
Yeah, and we do that throughout um our kids' life. We'll invest in them, we'll invest in what they need, or their desires, their heart's desire, whether it be in sports or whether it be in um
Music
I don't know,
lesson.
music lessons or
Mhm,
tutoring. For
mhm,
those who are single and don't have children, why is this worth investing in? Because you have a responsibility to bring yourself to the best of your ability in light of who Christ is. And
mhm.
when you have accountability, when you have somebody who's taking you through what it's 14 weeks or a 6 month course, depending on what you choose.
Yeah, it can be
Um,
4 to 6 months. Yeah.
oh yeah, 4 to 6 months. Thank you.
Yeah.
um, you have that responsibility to better yourself for your future husband, for your future vocation. If you're going
Mm.
into the religious life, you have a responsibility to um, uh,
Bring your best
understand and
self.
flesh out these desires that you have in your
Mhm.
heart, because they have been given solely to you and only you. So I'm saying this for the married women. You have a responsibility to not only just yourself, but your spouse, your responsibility to your children now too.
Mm.
The investment that you're making into who you are is to better you so you can be that light to the world. You can be that light to your friends in the darkness who are in darkness right now.
Yeah.
um you can be that mom that is really really present with your kid, because you've learned how to do that. You've learned how to manage your time. You've learned how to skill up. So you the investment is a responsibility of who you're showing up to be. So
Yeah.
that's
That's beautiful.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's why I let you explain it, because it's like listening to you is incredible, because you just, yeah, like you have a beautiful way of explaining that. So thank you.
Welcome.
And so one thing that like I was looking at with, when we were thinking, what are we going to talk about? One of the things that we go through in the women's school is the arenas of our life. So there's all of those, and you're really good at those. So I'm going to let you also like kind of cover those arenas. But just let's segue into what we want to talk about here on episode 1. But first, if you want to just kind of it'll give everybody maybe an overview of like some
Mhm.
of the things we're going to talk about over the next few episodes. So
Sure.
take it away.
So the arena, what January talks about in the women's school and what we facilitate in the women's school is the arena, and that's a circle, and it's kind of like in a pie, uh,
I,
sections in a pie.
yeah,
Yeah,
slices of a
8 of
pie.
them,
Yeah.
slices of a pie, sections, and there are 8 of them. So you have
Not
your
that we're
self
thinking about food. Sorry.
right? So you have your self-image, and that's the groundwork and where we start from. And then we
Mm,
go to your health, and that's your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being. Then we segue to the friendships. Then we segue to intimacy. And that intimacy is that manhole, that God hole that's within us and how we relate to people. And then we go into contribution. Again, how are you showing up? Because if your contribution isn't so great, it's going to affect your self-image. And if your self-image isn't so great, it's going to affect your intimate life.
Yep.
So we segue from contribution to environment. Does my home life reflect my work life? And does my work life reflect my home life? Well, yeah, it does. And then when you segue from that, you go to wealth, and then you go finally to family. So we go through all of these 8 arenas of a woman's life, and we dive deep into who she is, and we help her flesh out those dreams, those desires, those, should I build an orphanage? I've always wanted to, or I wanted to be a missionary, or I want to be a mom. Is it okay to be barefoot and pregnant, or is that like a taboo thing now?
Right.
Is it okay? Is it okay to be a mom, barefoot and pregnant, and an entrepreneur at the same time?
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh. Yes. It absolutely is. And that's what we do as coaches and strategists, flesh that out. And we say, all right, these are the skills that you need to achieve, cultivate for you to achieve that dream. And we have, practical applications for those. We have our 5 Ds, and then we have our 145 DGA. These are things that you're writing down. We're going to go over a vision board with you. We're going to do all of these wonderful things and pour ourselves into that dream that you want to happen. So we're going to take you from point A to point B. Everybody needs a GPS at some point.
Yes. Yep.
And this is your life GPS, pretty much is what it is.
Yep.
So you want to go ahead and let's, get down to the nitty gritty of what
let's do
our
it.
self-image is. All right.
Yes.
Okay. Self-image. Did I write this? Doing it off the fly here.
Yes. That's the struggle too, is like there's so much you can talk about with self-image, but what do you focus on? Where do you start? Because there's just so much out there about, how do we feel about ourselves, all the way down to like, are you even aware like that you might have a negative self-image? Because I know for like me, for years, like until I took the women's school, I didn't realize how negative I was to myself until we started doing scripts and things. And I'm like, oh goodness. Like, and I think it's funny, like I'll be self-deprecating and humor and stuff, but then I'm like, but do I really believe that? So like, there's that. Do we do that? Do we look at ourselves like that?
Absolutely. And like, one of the things that with the Institute of the Psychology of Eating, one of the things that Mark David says in his course is that you would never, ever talk to a baby like that. Why would you talk to yourself like that? I was like,
incredible.
Yeah, you're right. I would never talk to any of my children. I would never look at them and hold them and say, wow, you get a lot of like, I would never do that.
Yes, I agree.
You don't talk, or boy, you're really stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
No. And
we actually used to call that the S word in my house. You don't call people stupid, especially yourself. Yeah. But we say that, don't we?
All the time.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Goodness, or I'm clueless, or whatever the case may be, and we think it's innocent. Like, oh my goodness, I love it. I think it's funny too. I mean, let's be real. It's cute, it's adorable, but are we? Is that what we're striving for? Is to be a hot mess and to be proud of it? And I don't want to pick on hot mess, but
and they're absolutely hard. Absolutely. Times when there is a hot mess going around, let's call it a spade, but are we striving for that? Are we getting out of that? Are we learning skills to skill up? Because what we say brings life. It brings life into things. One of the most beautiful things that I in listening to the January in the women's school was, she's like, words are made flesh.
Yes.
And it hit me like a 2 by 4, because what did God do? He spoke Jesus. He spoke the word, and it was made flesh. And then um, when you look at your spouse, you're speaking the word of love, both in public and in private. And
Mm.
our love is so fruitful that I had to name it something. I had to name
Mm.
it. So Paul and Joseph, all the way down the line there.
Yeah.
Words become flesh. That is such a wonderful thing. So if you're telling yourself, I'm just a hot mess,
Mm-hmm.
words become flesh. And we get
Yeah.
comfortable in that hot mess. And then we don't want to move out of that hot mess. And it gets, then we're talking about overwhelm. Then we're talking
Mhm.
about, self-deprecating. And then we're talking about, well, wait a minute, no, we are made for so much more, so much more. And that is our self-image. And how we define self-image is it is a collaboration of inherited opinions from
Mm.
people and experiences that have subjectively defined your own worth. Your self-image is the driving force to your wholeness.
Yeah.
So that's a lot to unpack right there,
Isn't that
right?
incredible? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, when we talk about the self-image in the women's school, we're talking about, all right, when you're a little baby, you're you're just loved, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just so, unconditionally loved, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can do no wrong. You could cry all night and you still can't do anything wrong
Yes.
because you are unconditionally loved.
Yes.
Um, and that is how it's revealed to us that we are unconditionally loved, that we have that value that's more precious than gold. I was telling Jackie just a little bit ago that one of the things that we never, if any of my kids said, "Oh, well, I'm special," I'm like, "No, you're not. You ain't special. You are not special. You're precious,"
Mm.
which holds a lot more weight, because if everybody's special, then nobody's special.
Yeah.
But if everybody is precious, you're worth dying for.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it
It's so beautiful.
carries the weight. It carries the word that word made flesh, that you are precious. But why?
Mm.
Because nobody a billion years ago was Jackie Cobb. Nobody a billion years from now will ever be Jackie Cobb
Yeah.
or Amy. That
Yeah.
is how precious and valuable you are and your worth is. You are inherently stamped with the dignity and glory of God in who you are as a person. And that's what makes you valuable. Isn't that like, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's really powerful.
It is so powerful, and what we've been waiting our whole lives to hear, I think, in some regards. Maybe again, some people may have had, the blessing of that growing up and everything. And it's not that, any of our parents were like, most of them probably weren't awful. It was just
Mhm.
that there wasn't, like this thought that you had to say it. Like one thing I learned as a parent is I actually have to teach my kids. Like I always just expected them to know, like I would just tell them to go do something and they should know how to do it, right? I mean, like doesn't everybody? And then I realized, no, I have to teach this to them. And then this is where like self-worth, realizing, that my children need to know about their self-worth, because that directly affects and impacts who they are, what they do, especially like our behaviors, our decisions, our choices that we make. We have no idea the impact that our self-image has on those things. And, what are we taking out into the world? When we go out into the world, are we like, because we have a negative self-image, are we putting things off on other people? Like, is our perception off because we have a self-image problem that we don't even
Right,
recognize or realize? Or
right.
maybe we do recognize and realize it, but we always feel like, what is it they say that like You're always so worried about what people are thinking of you or saying about you, and most of the time they're only thinking of themselves, not you. So it's kind of like a humbling experience, but it's also like it's freeing, to know like, okay, like I'm not I, like if I go out to like a party or something, I used to be the shyest person in the room. I wouldn't talk to anybody. I would feel very intimidated. My self-worth, was very low. And then, when you start realizing that other people are like probably not even really thinking about you, they're so like thinking about whatever, they're wrapped up in their own heads and things like that. Not like in a selfish way, I'm not saying, but but why not? Like just go up to people and talk to them, like, but your self-worth, it dictates your behaviors. So you might even skip that, like I really want to go do this XYZ thing, but you're going to skip it because you don't feel worthy. And I love, like, I think it was in Walking with Purpose that I learned we are, you're a beautiful daughter of God. And that's it. Like nobody can take that away from you, that worth, because you were created worthy. And, sure, you got to work at it, you got to work on getting to heaven and all that kind of stuff. But like, nobody has the right to look at you like you're not valuable or to see you in a way that is not valuable, because that is your inherent dignity. And it's there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. And it's, so your value was revealed to you. It had to be, because again, you as a little baby, you are, just so beautifully and unconditionally loved. But it's when you start getting older that we start putting conditions on them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, our dad would be like, or your dad may have made you feel, well, you're only loved if you're, you bring home an A, or you look a certain way, or you act a certain way, or, with your mom, you were only loved, or you only felt loved if you were a good little girl. How many times did I hear that? Be a good little girl, and that was the only time that you were loved because you were a good girl.
Yes.
Or your siblings. Oh my gosh, siblings.
Oh, siblings. Yeah, we don't need to say any more about that in self-worth.
They can cause a lot of and as me as a sibling, I caused a lot of that same angst and anxiety and name calling and just, but our little minds, they're growing, and they're growing, and they were like, wait a minute, I am just a hot mess. I am really bad at communicating, or I am a failure, or I'm afraid of failure, or I'm lazy, or I'm a procrastinator, I'm just stupid, I'm fat, I'm ugly, all of those things start becoming conditional. We are or we feel like our worth is starting to become conditional.
Right.
And then we take it into our teen life, and then we take that into our adult life. Here at the women's school, what we do is we flip the script. Because we learn, we teach, and we harp on how valuable you are to God. You are valuable.
Well, he created you for a purpose. And if you don't understand your worth, you aren't pursuing that purpose, most likely. And so, you've got to really just kind of dig deep. What I thought was interesting that we learn is like 95% of your subconscious is where all of this comes from. Like, do you really think about the fact that your subconscious has such an impact on you, and that it was being developed all through your life? And then, by what is it? I think the statistics are like it's from conception to like 3 years old. That's where your like self-worth it was self-worth, right? Like I'm thinking about like the lesson that I did, like how much did you absorb during those years? And then it's like brought you to where you are now. And only, like when you've tried to change your perception of yourself, how successful is it? Because
Right.
that 5% is really not that much when you think about it. And that's what I love
Right.
about our scripts, because like without those scripts, I'm usually saying something like I'm a hot mess, or I'm I I make whatever jokes. I can't even think of any right now, but I'll probably think of them after I get off the podcast. And just like I'm trying to be funny, but it's also self-deprecating because, and I always tell my kids, like, if you're gonna make jokes, like, you can be funny without insulting other people, but
Right.
yet I'll do it to myself.
Right.
So
And it's a skill. It's a skill to learn
yeah.
how to be funny without, bringing yourself down or bringing down somebody else, or that's a skill. That's,
Yeah.
like,
And it's a script I need in my head, because if I'm not practicing that script, then I'm going to go straight back to that negativity
yeah.
until I've rewired that mindset, because it's so powerful. Like, growing up, I always laughed because my parents were in Amway and they listened to all these self-help tapes. And I would always be like, my brother and I are like making fun of these tapes and everything else. And now I'm like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It
I'm my mom
does
now.
work. Yes. Yeah. But it takes a lot of work because, like maybe it didn't sink in all over all of those years, like here I was listening to all of them, and it's not like I came out this positive person on the other end of it. So
Right. Right.
it's still something you have to continually work on, and to just really like refine it. And so that's where I love the accountability that we have, because you hold me accountable, I hold you accountable. We don't we have our cuteness with other areas now. We aren't just the hot mess anymore.
Exactly.
We're the podcasting moms who are just going for it. Wing it.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
So Jackie, what do we want to leave with our beautiful people and our audience here? What do we want to leave them with?
That's a really good question. I think we have some ideas. Like, do you want to talk about the ideas that we have for people to like kind of I we're still learning the podcasting thing, so not sure exactly how you do it, but we would love to be able to like answer questions and to hear your thoughts, maybe some topics that you want to talk about. Definitely, like if we have friends or family or anybody who could really like bless our friends and our new friends, our potential friends, with like information above and beyond what we are able to provide and things like that, like interviews would be fun. So just like these are some ideas that we had about what we want to bring you on the podcast. So what are some other things that you are thinking in regard to what you wanted to know from me, in case I went the wrong direction?
No, that was excellent. You can't do improv. So I guess that was beautifully said, is that, so our future podcast, we'd love to have people on. We would love to know what topics that you want us to talk about. I know that for myself, tomorrow I'm holding my class for overwhelm and digestion, its effect on digestion. So there is still seats available to come and join me in this little 4-week mini course. Any promotions that you also want us to do, like, hey, Jackie, can you give a 4-week mini course on overwhelm at your house? Because obviously you can't do it here. Do you guys want to come to Sicily?
Oh, I don't know. I'm all about going to Sicily and doing a 4-week course.
Right.
If you don't mind having me.
Right. Mi casa, you casa.
Molto bene.
So,
Yes.
if you want Jackie to be doing that, or how do I manage my time? How do I oh gosh, we have 12 skill set, and I'm drawing a blank right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but the top 3 were like, I am looking at the skills. I've got 3 that I'm offering. Managing overwhelm was the number 1. I think that we all can relate to that. I love your additional information though. So like people that really would like to be able to do a combination of the overwhelm and the psychology behind eating and things like that, because as someone who's been overweight most of my life too, dieting and all those kinds of things, I think it's beautiful what you're marrying these 2 programs together and being able to create something beautiful for women. So I'm super excited for you on doing that. And I know it's going to be an incredible group. So I'm really I'm praying that you get a lot of great women who are going to be profoundly changed by this work. And I thank you for doing that. I will do the managing overwhelm just by itself. And I have drawing boundaries, because that's another area where women said that they really needed some help was with drawing boundaries. And I can totally relate to that. And then also the comparison. I can't remember what the specific skill is called, but just being able to stop with the comparisons. We're all uniquely designed by God to do our thing. And Amy's gift is not my gift, but God gave her that gift, and all women can be blessed by that gift. And I have a gift for whatever managing overwhelm and skills, things like that. We have the same gifts in some areas, but the way that we approach it is going to be our unique. That's what we're bringing uniquely to this. So and then I'm doing Tuesday night, I'm going to do a Designing Your Life kind of webinar with people to just kind of go over what we're doing, how to do this, how do you start this process and see, is this a good fit for me? Because we don't just want everybody to join the masterclass. If it's not a good fit, then we're okay with that. We're not trying to just say everybody needs to do this. It's what am I trying to say here? It's it's something that we all need to experience from the standpoint of, is this for me? Is this something that's going to benefit or bless me? So that's happening on Tuesday. And then I am starting a new masterclass on September 25th. So I'm super excited. The women that are in the class now are just, I've cried tears of joy so many times because of the blessings that they've received just from a few weeks of being in the masterclass. And it's just such a gift. So I cannot wait to share that with more people. So if you're ready, I'm here. And Amy,
I love it.
So
Yes, we are here to serve you, and to see you grow. And never forget that although we're coaches, we're also students. And so as you're growing, we're growing. And I love that. That's a freedom that we can have, that we can work with our
we are
sphere.
on this journey with you, even if we've been through it 500 times. There's always something new to glean from it. So
absolutely. So I don't know if we said that our respective
information
is in our description here. For dishitoutcoaching.com, and that one's mine, and Women of Worth is
Women of Worth Coaching. Thank you.
Women
Sorry,
I talked over you. That's okay. Jackie's. And like I said, that's in the description, along with our quiz too. So if you want to see where you are on that level, you go ahead and click that bad boy.
It is profoundly insightful.
It is very, very insightful. And, we're super excited to journey this with you, future podcasts as well. And we are just so blessed to be able to see the art in who you are. That is so beautiful. Hit the music, Jackie.
Yes. Oh, I'm not ready for music. We are